Millionaire invited the black cleaning lady as a joke, but SHE showed up like a diva, and Jonathan Whitmore was a kind of man who could buy anything except humility. He owned 3 yachts, 5 penthouses, and a smug smirk he wore like a badge of honor. His latest amusement was hosting over-the-top dinner parties for the city's elite, events dripping in gold, crystal chandeliers, and exclusivity. When his golf buddies dared him to spice things up, Jonathan decided to invite someone who didn't belong in his gilded world, a cleaning lady from his office building. He chose Maria Johnson, a black woman in her late 40s who scrubbed floors with quiet dignity. In his mind, it was harmless fun. She'll never come, he chuckled to his friends. And if she does, the contrast will be entertaining. The ivory-embossed invitation landed in Maria's hands as she was polishing the brass handles in the lobby. She read it twice, then slipped it into her bag without a word. She knew a joke when she saw one, but instead of feeling humiliated, something inside her stirred, a mix of defiance and mischief. On the night of the party, Jonathan's mansion glittered under the glow of hundreds of candles. Guests arrived in chauffeur-driven cars, dripping diamonds and dressed in couture. Jonathan was mid-sip of his $800 champagne when the room fell into an unexpected hush. At the top of the marble staircase stood Maria, but she wasn't in her cleaning uniform. She wore a deep emerald silk gown that clung perfectly in all the right places, a diamond necklace that caught the light like fire, an elegant updo that would make Hollywood stylists weep. She descended the stairs with the grace of a queen returning to her court. Jonathan nearly choked. "Maria," he stammered as she reached the bottom. "That's Miss Johnson tonight," she said smoothly, her voice like warm velvet. "Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Whitmore. I wouldn't miss it for the world." People parted for her, without even realizing it. She didn't just arrive, she commanded. Conversations that had been buzzing about stock markets and ski trips shifted toward her. Within minutes, Maria was speaking with the mayor's wife about art, laughing with a real estate magnate over a shared love of 1950s jazz, and fielding compliments about her gown, custom-made, as it turned out, by a designer she'd met years ago while working as a housekeeper for a fashion editor. Jonathan's amusement turned to unease. He had expected awkwardness, not adoration. He tried to pull her aside. "You're really making an impression," he said, his smile tight. "I learned long ago," Maria replied calmly, "that you don't wait for people to give you a seat at the table. You bring your own chair." She took a sip of champagne and glided back into the crowd. By dessert, Maria was the unofficial guest of honor. Even Jonathan's oldest friends were captivated. A tech billionaire asked for her opinion on his new charity project. A senator's wife invited her to a luncheon. Maria carried herself with such natural sophistication that people forgot the reason Jonathan had invited her at all. What Jonathan didn't know was that Maria hadn't always been a cleaning lady. In her 20s, she'd been a promising law student. Life had other plans. Her mother fell ill, bills piled up, and Maria put school aside to care for her family. She'd worked every job she could find, from waitress to housekeeper, never losing her love for literature, politics, and the arts. She didn't tell this story to gain pity. Only when someone asked directly did she share pieces of it. And when she did, the entire table hung on her words. After the final toast, guests began slipping their coats over jeweled shoulders. Jonathan stood by the door, shaking hands. One by one, people praised the evening, not for the food or music, but for the woman in green. "She's extraordinary, Jonathan," murmured one guest. "I hope she'll be at the next one." Jonathan forced a laugh. "We'll see." When Maria approached to leave, he tried to salvage some dignity. "You surprised everyone tonight." She smiled, eyes calm but unyielding. "That's the thing about underestimating people, Mr. Whitmore. You never see us coming." 2 weeks later, Jonathan attended a high-profile charity gala. To his shock, Maria was there not as staff, but as a guest of honor. She'd been invited personally by the mayor's office to speak about community programs for working women. Wearing another breathtaking gown, she spoke on stage about resilience, opportunity, and dignity with a quiet power that brought the audience to its feet. Jonathan sat in the back, clapping slowly, feeling the weight of his earlier joke. It had backfired so spectacularly that he couldn't even be angry. He'd set out to humiliate someone, and ended up giving her a platform. Months later, Maria left her cleaning job. Between connections she'd made that night and her own determination, she started a consultancy for businesses wanting to create better support systems for lower-income employees. She became a regular guest at events that Jonathan used to believe were above her. As for Jonathan, his parties continued, but they were never quite the same. He noticed more diversity in his guest list, more genuine conversations instead of shallow name-dropping. And every so often, when a new acquaintance would underestimate someone based on appearance, Jonathan would smile faintly and think of Maria descending that marble staircase, silencing an entire room. It wasn't the kind of story he told at parties, because in this one, the punchline was him.